In this video I'm going to talk about using chemical wormers on your horse, whether you need to use them and what other things you can do to control parasites in your horse. This information is likely to be quite different from what you've heard or read elsewhere. We, Stuart and I, Equiculture, specialise in the subject of equine grazing behaviour. We've worked with horses and their owners in many countries all around the world. I, Jane, carried out research about the grazing behaviour of horses at the University of Edinburgh, and together we're the authors of several books that teach you how to keep your horses healthy and happy, save you time and money, and do good things for the environment all at the same time. A win-win-win when you get it right. Most horse owners tend to think that using a chemical wormer is enough to control worms in their horse. However, there's many reasons why you may need to think differently. Chemical worming products, much like antibiotics, are becoming less effective over time due to overuse. The parasites are becoming resistant to the chemicals in them, which means that they're not as effective. Parasites that survive after a chemical worm has been used on a horse are resistant to the chemicals. These parasites then pass on this resistance to future generations, creating larger populations of resistant parasites. There's no new chemicals on the horizon to combat parasites. It's many years since new chemicals for parasites have been released. New chemical worming products are simply the same old chemicals rebranded. Chemical wormers are expensive, especially if you use them as often as recommended. That recommendation mainly comes from chemical worming product manufacturers, so of course they recommend that you use them often. Reputable companies are now recognising the damage that this over-recommendation and use has caused. However, it's now part of the culture of horsekeeping that you should chemically worm your horse on a regular basis, so the belief is difficult to change. Chemical wormers are dangerous and even deadly for other animals such as dogs, dung beetles and other wildlife. If they eat the paste that drops to the ground when a horse is being wormed, or if they eat horse manure that contains it. It also has an effect on microorganisms in the soil. This does not necessarily mean that chemical wormers should never be used. They do still have a place, although in time reliable alternatives may be found. But they should only be used when necessary rather than as a routine, i.e. every few weeks as recommended by many manufacturers. In fact, as already mentioned, it's directly because they've been overused in the past that they are no longer as effective. Please be sure to give this video the thumbs up, and if you'd like to become a more knowledgeable horse owner, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to be notified when a new video becomes available every week. Current thinking is that it probably benefits a horse to have a low worm count rather than zero, as it helps build up their natural resistance. The good news is there's a lot you can do to vastly reduce parasites from getting into your horse in the first place. This involves good pasture management and horse management. Much of the advice that follows may go against what you've been taught in the past, so bear with us. You don't usually have to do all of these things to reduce parasites. Just do the ones that you can and you will see a reduction. This reduction can be tested by doing fecal worm egg counts. More on that later. Rotate pastures. This practice, in conjunction with other good land management practices, is one of the most important steps for parasite reduction. It has so many other benefits, and there's not the space to go into them here, but you can sign up for our free mini course, Horses, Pasture and Grazing, for more information. See the link with this video. This course is just 1 hour long and consists of several short videos. By resting your pasture, some of the parasites will die before the horses return. They cannot survive without access to a horse to complete their natural life cycle. There will also be more opportunities for the parasites to be eaten by predators or killed by inclement weather, wind which dries them out, heat and cold. Collect and compost droppings in small paddocks and loafing surfaced yards. Composting, when done properly, kills parasites and parasite eggs. This composted manure can then be used back on the land. Harrows spread manure on larger rotated paddocks when the horses have been moved on to the next paddock. Yes, this does spread them around the land, but it also helps to kill them as they're then exposed to the weather. Spreading manure also has the added advantage of reducing or eliminating roughs, which means that there's more pasture available for grazing. On the other hand, if you don't manage your land properly, you can lose the use of more than 50% of it to this dunging behaviour, which is peculiar to horses. Cross-graze, also called mixed grazing, whenever possible. This means let other animal species graze the same land as the horses, usually after they've grazed the paddock. Parasites are by and large host-specific, and most horse parasites are killed when picked up by other animals such as cows or sheep, for example. Encourage and nurture dung beetles. These critters are the world's manure management experts. Nothing you do in an attempt to manage horse manure comes close to what they do and gives the benefits that they do. They are a whole subject in themselves, so look out for more info on them in one of our other articles or videos. Remember that some worming chemicals can kill dung beetles. Use an effective worming paste only when necessary. It's better to use a broad spectrum and usually more expensive product less often than a cheaper, narrow spectrum product more frequently. Test your horses using a fecal worm egg test before you use a chemical wormer, because in many cases you will not need one. It's not difficult to do a test, and there's lots of videos online that show you how you can do this. Although the test does not pick up on all the parasites, it does give you an indication on the current level of your horse's parasite burden. If you have a closed herd, no new horses joining the herd, you'll not need to do this as often as you learn more. Again, look out for more information about this subject in one of our other articles or videos. Generally, 20% of horses carry 80% of the parasites in a given herd, usually very young, very old or unhealthy horses, which means that not all of the horses in a herd will require the same chemical worming regime. Identifying which horses need it and when can cut your use of chemical wormers dramatically. Avoid feeding on the ground if there's manure present. Feed in large feeders, but try to keep the area around feeders particularly clean. Don't overstock horse paddocks, which will lead to a high level of manure and more parasites. Chemically worm any new horses before their release into a paddock or herd. If you can, keep them in a surfaced yard and collect the manure for 3 days afterwards. Bag this manure up and take it to the tip rather than add it to your compost heap. Don't use it to fertilise your garden, as it will kill the earthworms, etc. If you acquire a new horse that looks particularly wormy, pot-bellied, poor, scurfy skin, etc., get veterinary advice before using a chemical wormer on them, as the sudden death of large numbers of parasites can be very dangerous for a horse. They can block arteries, etc. In fact, it's a good idea to get veterinary advice before worming any horse when you do not know their history. If you've enjoyed and learned from this video, make sure you have a look at our extensive website, this page in particular, equiculture.net, Responsible Horse Care. Hopefully this video has given you some things to think about and will help you and your horses to have a better lifestyle. As already mentioned, we have a free mini course about horses, pasture and grazing. There's a link in the post with this video. This short video course will get you started on the subject of sustainable horsekeeping. You'll learn about how you can save money, time and energy when keeping horses. You'll also learn about some of the things that are really important to your horse and about how you and your horses can help to save the environment. So make sure you sign up. If you've enjoyed this video, please let us know by liking it. Subscribe and share with your fellow horsey friends, and please leave a comment with what you found interesting. If you're interested in learning more about better horse management by learning about what is really important to your horse, we also have a private Facebook group. But do the course first and see if this interests you.